Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. Um, Hi, Alex.
Hi, Nikolaj.
um, and welcome. Hi to all the listeners, to all the many listeners,
Whoever you are.
whoever you are, and wherever you are, and whenever you are.
Weird people listening in on this.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So, yeah, to give a little bit of context, this is uh, this is the first of a series of explorations that me and Alexander will be engaging in, um, and we like to use alchemical metaphors at times, at least. Um, so we sort of imagine this as a vessel that we are in, an alchemical vessel um, that that I'm at least, and I think Alexander as well, quite curious to see what will emerge and arise in this vessel. You know, we really don't know what will come out of these conversation and topics, but it's a sort of an experiment, I guess, to see
Mm.
kind of like, okay, can we place ourselves in this vessel and see, you know, what wants to emerge,
Mm.
what wants to be spoken, um, what wants to
Mm.
be imagined.
Mm.
um, so so I guess it's with great curiosity and a little bit of trepidation also that that we initiate these conversations. And for the first conversation, I think we would actually like to speak about the vessel,
Mm.
or at least to start off with speaking about the vessel, and perhaps in more general terms about this space. You know, what is this space that we're exploring together, or perhaps constructing together? I don't know if it's a discovery or it's a construction, or perhaps a bit of both.
Mhm.
Um, but that's at least the topic for today, and I have this idea that for each topic, for each conversation, I would like to sort of add a little tincture, a little elixir into the vessel in a form of a poem, a little text, a little piece from a book, as a sort of something to get us started. Um, and today it's a quote by James Hillman called it's about the Renaissance and the sort of the need for a space for the imagination.
Mm.
And it's from his book Revisioning Psychology. So here it goes. The Renaissance recognized that imagination must have a place. Imagination's place might be the night sky of Renaissance astronomers or astrologers, or the geographical continents of its explorers. It might also be the gigantic mythological construction of Dante's worlds, the complex stoves and vessels of alchemists' laboratories, the memory theater of Giulio Camillo, or the imaginal past of Greek and Roman antiquity. Imagination must have a space for differentiated unfolding. This immeasurable depth of soul, or endless cavern of images, as Augustine called it, or black pit in Hegel's words, must have a container. If we today would restore imagination to its full significance, we too need some sort of enormous room that can act as its realistic vessel. End quote. James Hillman.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
very much on point, I think.
yeah. I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
so. I thought so. That was, you know,
Wow.
that was very much the topic that we talked about exploring today. And the sort of,
Yeah.
what is this vessel? What is this space for the imagination?
Yes.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah. So maybe I just. Maybe I'd just like to say I have something to say about that quote, but
yeah,
maybe also just something um, more introductory from my side.
yeah,
What feels very alive right now? It feels like an energy in the body, which is a bubbling up of a aliveness. That this is not something kind of pre-made or pre-theorized.
yeah,
It really feels like something alive that we are engaging in a practice. So this vessel and this alchemical process is a living practice, and
yeah,
and why we're sharing it. Maybe we're gonna speak about that too. I
yeah,
sometimes right now I don't know. It doesn't seem like the important thing. It seems like we are engaging in something, and it feels to me that uh, yeah, that there is something to learn there
yeah,
for me and for you, and maybe for somebody else
yeah.
who has stumbled into this into this
In
vessel.
whatever weird
Uh,
way that.
yeah, this freak
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah. Thank you
but
for saying that.
what? Yeah, so maybe that's a good framing too, also for the one who's listening. I think that's appropriate as well, just to say that if one wants to now, maybe the name of this video on YouTube is something about vessels, and if one thinks that one will find a kind of a layout of what alchemical vessels are, that is, I don't think this is what we're gonna get here.
No.
I think we're gonna get an exploration of an experience as well
Yeah.
of 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 relating to vessels and how to maybe be vesseling together as well,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then to just wanted to mention that. So you're listening to a practice, um, one which we are discovering ourselves.
Yeah.
Um, and the quote, what I really love about this quote, when you read it, is this sense that the space, the vessel, what we might also could call a ground or something like that, isn't really one thing.
No.
It shifts with whatever is appearing
Yeah.
within that space.
Yeah.
It's the geography, it's the night sky, it's the like there are
Yeah.
so many different rooms or spaces or vessels here.
Yeah.
And the question that I'd like to kind of ask here is like, I think I said like this to you, like what is the ur vessel? What is the primal, the original vessel?
Yeah.
Kind of like trying to find the ontological ground, or
Yeah.
that first principle or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
because and why is that important? Because I get the sense that if whatever we are doing here needs to wants to come truly alive in its fullness, then we have to find that, realize, remember that
Yeah.
space which can carry
Yeah.
a full expression.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So now you mentioned the word carry.
Mm,
Um, so when I lean into that, I get a sense of sort of being held by something,
mm,
um, and a sort of a feeling that I can relax into that feeling of being held.
mm,
That there is a ground, and it's not a sort of a hard, concrete, sort of solid, stable ground, but there is something sort of holding
mm,
me, holding us, holding it.
mm, mm,
And when I lean into that, there's this feeling of, can I trust that actually?
mm,
Uh,
So there's a bit.
can I have faith in that
Mm,
actually?
mm,
Can I give myself to that?
mm.
Uh,
Why would you give yourself to that?
um, yeah,
Why give yourself to the ground?
yeah. I guess there's a part of me that realizes um, that there's this almost like a surrender in it. Like there's my isolated, nervous, anxious, fragile ego that wants to sort of hold on and wants to control and feels, all this insecurity,
Mm, mm,
and then there's you know another part of me that wants to, can I let
mm,
go a little bit of that sort of holding
mm,
of my ego and surrender or let go into a different feeling of holding.
mm,
um, yeah. And I recognize that move as a sort of provocative, scary, but also deeply satisfying.
mm,
Some,
mm,
yeah, or sort of there's a longing there.
mm, mm.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice. Thank you for drawing that out a bit. That makes so much sense.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm thinking about what I also said before we started. It's like I'm I sat before we met and was like, what are we going to speak about today? I had no clue. I couldn't. I had the word kind of vessel, and then I was like, just a big question mark. And I sat meditating for a while after having a client and being like, everything became a question mark.
yeah,
And then you popped up on my screen, and suddenly, so that was this sense of I could lean into kind of, oh fuck, I don't know what we're gonna speak about.
yeah,
I need to prepare myself. Maybe I could bring up some thoughts. Maybe I could kind of construct something meaningful to
yeah,
to say some framework. But rather, I was like leaning into that sense of everything becoming a question mark.
yeah,
And then you pop up, and then suddenly there you are, and suddenly I begin to speak.
yeah,
And right as right now, like the words that fall out of my mouth, I need to trust that I say something meaningful because I don't know.
no,
I don't know what I'm gonna say. So there is this sense of kind of
yeah,
giving, like trusting, having faith in the way the appearance of
yeah,
me and you
yeah,
and this field
yeah,
is arising, and
yeah,
trusting that
yeah,
that there is something meaningful in the
yeah,
way that it arises.
yeah, yeah,
Because if I don't trust that, I would do that as you did, like it's a reified sense of being kind of almost locked
yeah,
in a certain fixed identity and way of appearing, way
yeah,
of I'm also the sense I get right now is also it's a sense of being constricted to what I think I know.
yeah,
And what I'm drawn to into this practice is to discover all the things I didn't know that I know.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
All the things that blossom forth as knowledge or as insights
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
sense of there's a big question mark. And now Nikolaj is here. And suddenly meanings express
yeah,
themselves. And
yeah.
I'm listening in on that and saying, wow,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't know you were gonna say this, Alex.
No.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how interesting this is yet, but
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
sense of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So something is wanting to sort of to to speak, and something is wanting to be spoken actually. Uh, and that's the feeling that I get, that that there's, that can we lean into the sense of like being spoken,
Mm.
um, and sort of allowing that to sort of come through.
Mm.
um, and I guess for me,
Mm.
this also requires that I give myself permission actually.
Mm.
uh, so
Permission to
just permission.
just permission. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's my feeling, as sort of
Yeah.
like a primary permission,
Permission. Yes.
like a permission.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or perhaps also just permission to be, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and okay, if I don't have anything to say, then that's okay. That's also fine.
Hmm.
That's also allowed. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, and if there's a little bit of silence, sometimes, trusting, that it's okay for you, that it's okay for me, that it's okay for the listener, but okay, now that's just the moment. Yeah,
Hmm.
so that it really does become a sort of a meditation also. Um, yeah,
So there is this, this, there is this okayness. We're
yeah,
kind of we're tracing our way to a space where everything in its appearance is okay.
yeah,
Like silence is okay. Looking at the night stars and kind of becoming an astrologer, that's
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Geography, okay.
yeah,
Every fantasy is okay. Whatever appears in the vessel
yeah,
is primordially okay. And I don't mean this like ethically, morally. I mean it
no,
more, it seems like more existentially or
yeah,
ontologically or
yeah, yeah, yeah,
logically. I have
yeah.
such a hard time with that word.
Yeah,
And that's okay, right? Like that
yes,
sense of even the
yeah,
stumbling in
yes,
its mere appearance as stumbling words.
yes, yeah, yeah,
There is the allowance of that because it is allowed as an appearance.
yeah, wonderful. Right,
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. Let's really, can we embrace the stumbling and the
Yeah.
fumbling?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess what comes up with this fumbling and stumbling is also a sort of recognition that we both speak a foreign tongue, a foreign language. We're
Exactly.
both, native Danish speakers. So, why the hell are we speaking in English? uh, and this might sound a bit, a bit funny at times.
Yeah.
Our accent and our searching for the words and our sort of pronunciation or whatever it might be.
Mm.
But also to sort of allow for that, and to sort of embrace that and explore that as part of the vessel, I
Mm.
guess. Yeah, yeah,
Right as you say that, I was like, yeah, I think that's an investigation for investigating the material of the vessel. It's like the material is kind of expressing itself in English and wants to express itself in English.
yeah,
And we've been going back and forth and having doubts about that because yeah, it could also be in Danish.
yeah,
But why English? I think that's a good question. But
yeah,
what I feel drawn to right now again is I get the sense it's interesting to me. So it's just interesting to me. We begin to speak about the vessel in a very, very kind of fundamental way, of a way of being or a ground of being or something like that.
yeah,
Which I have some issues with, and I
yeah,
think this is why maybe what I'm getting at here is that as soon as we start speaking about that, we begin to speak like we we don't even notice the shift. We speak about what is happening in the vessel.
Yeah.
Like it's like we, we cannot speak about that
No.
which we try to speak of in
No.
some sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
this sense we have and I think it's also I think it's implicit in that Hillman quote.
Yeah.
We think that the primary vessel or the original space or the ground of being or something, we often get the sense that it is something
Yeah.
which where everything stands or
Yeah.
something like that, or where everything is kept. Like there is this big black, perceptually one can sometimes have this sense of awareness as something, some big, maybe if there weren't any phenomena in that, it would just be big black, empty, luminous,
Yeah.
right? Space.
Yeah.
But even there is this sense of a thing. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking about what is the condition that allows for that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And why is this important? I think there's something in this that we go from speaking about like introducing the idea of the vessel and wanting to kind of speak into that, explore that, and then it just shifts into the appearances within the vessel, the
Yeah.
material, the
Yeah.
life, our stumblings, our ideas, all of that.
Yeah.
And there is something there that tells us something about the relationship between the ground and what
Yeah.
blossoms from the ground, or the space and that which appears within the space, or the material and the vessel.
Yeah.
Maybe they aren't as separated as an investigation of the vessel alone
Yeah.
might suggest.
Yeah. 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 So what you're sort of leaning towards is the sort of insight that it's a co-arising, codependent arising
Mm.
between this the space and the vessel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I it's for me it's what comes up right now is it's also a question about language, because you say, we can't speak about the space, we can call it empty and luminous, but we still make it a thing. We still um, reify it. Um, so in many mystical traditions, they prefer the via negativa, the negating. It's not this, it's not that, it's not, and then you continue to sort of negate and to deconstruct, and then there's an openness. So there's a deep recognition there that that is impossible to grasp or to get at. And at the same time, we keep wanting to speak about it.
Mm.
We keep searching for the words. We keep searching for language. We keep searching for expression, and something wants to something wants to be expressed. Something wants to blossom, as you say.
Mm.
So there's this dance, between, I guess the Buddhists would call it form and emptiness.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
and I guess our this what we're doing here, to get back into to the vessel here, is like, okay, can we participate in that dance?
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, and maybe how couldn't we?
yeah.
Like where, like that itself, I think it's really important to say that. But that itself kind of again has the idea that we could stand outside, that
Yeah.
there is a ground somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There is a ground, there is something to stand on
Yeah.
that where we could keep ourselves from falling in
Yeah.
groundlessness.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah. But I guess for me there are ways of sort of of dancing that are more interesting than others. You know?
Yeah, yeah,
Perhaps we're all on the dance floor, but some of us are quite
yeah, yeah,
stiff and sort of a bit, and
yeah.
some
Or
of
looking
us.
to the others, and
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
how are
Oh,
they dancing? I'm doing
yeah,
like them.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, exactly.
yeah.
Um, so there is a sort of like, okay, can I
Mm.
loosen up a bit? Can I let myself melt a little bit? Can I become a little bit more fluid in
Yeah,
my
yeah.
in my way of being on the dance floor?
Allow again that sense of
Yeah,
allowance.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's so interesting. There's something really interesting for me here is the idea that what I said before with the idea that we could step outside of like this space wherein everything is appearing, just to say it like that,
yeah,
like how to step outside from that, or that we could kind of retract into a constricted self sense, and then we wouldn't be in that.
yeah,
And yet, that's the paradox. Like that doesn't make sense.
no,
And yet, there is the sense of something that this appearance of life, the appearance of this conversation, is kind of is dancing between something that feels like it's participating. Oh yeah, that's it.
yeah,
Participating with kind of some sort of principle
yeah,
or something like that. A principle of how the vessel is lifing and the life is vesseling or something like that. How the container
yeah,
is containing appearances and how appearances are contained.
yeah,
That there's a way in which that movement, that blossoming forth of life, has a principle
yeah,
that feels to the being or to the heart as if now I'm participating in a way where, yeah, what I get right now is this sense of where this being and this heart
yeah,
can be in its fullness. And I don't
yeah,
mean in some kind of idealistic sense of I'm my full self, but just like really, really feeling
yeah,
how this is in
yeah,
this body and this
yeah,
mind. And at the same time, having that openness and that sense of being in a context in a world
yeah,
where there is that um, tension kind of
yeah, yeah,
between me and the world, and where the whole thing, the appearance of the whole thing, is allowed in its kind of awake fullness,
yeah,
I'd like something like that.
yeah, yeah,
And then the other side is like either I'm finding myself kind of only looking at the others on the dance floor and trying to dance like them, full like
yeah,
f totally forgetting the sensations of being my this body, this
yeah,
perspective right here,
yes,
or totally contracted in, constricted and imprisoned by the mind and the body.
yeah,
Oh, I'm here, and forgetting
yeah,
the openness of the dance floor and the
yeah,
rhythms and all of that.
yeah, 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 yeah.
But there's
And
some,
feeling excluded also from the dance floor. Look at
yeah,
all the others, they're dancing. I'm here,
yeah, yeah,
nobody wants to dance with me.
yes.
Yes, these beliefs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. So I'm curious about the principle that you mentioned, Alex. Yeah, how does that look for you, and how does that feel for you? What's your fantasy? Is there an image there?
Of the, it's interesting principle. I get the word is the way.
Yeah,
There is a way in which
yeah,
there's a way which things appear.
yeah,
There's a way which this life moves.
yeah,
There's a way which I respond.
yeah,
Something about this sense of a way.
yeah.
And it doesn't feel to me right now that the way is going somewhere.
No.
It is more as if the way is taking place here, it feels more like a blossoming. It
yeah,
feels more like
yeah,
this is movement here. It goes in all direction
yeah,
of
yeah,
appearance, kind of
yeah,
expanding out, exploding out, and kind of falling in on itself
yeah,
in the same breath.
yeah. Mm.
And yeah, okay, so now I get like there's this sense of the space, like this whole field of appearances has a way of appearing,
Yeah,
birth and death at the same time,
yeah,
which feels like aliveness.
yeah,
And then there is the way of each being.
yeah,
And I really feel like I'm standing there. Like I have never, I've never thought these thoughts, and it feels very novel.
yeah.
And yet, yeah, yet it's funny. I sit, my feet are kind of doing like this tapping. It feels like they know that they can land here,
Yeah,
but like trusting to step out and fall.
yeah,
Um, yeah, but this sense of each being has its way, and there is this sense that the principle is set by something like the truth of how appearances, the whole field of appearances and appearing in general has a way. And is this being in a truthful or real
yeah,
or realized relationship to that principle,
yeah. Or participating relationship.
participating
Yeah,
in that principle, or is it trying
yeah,
is it trying to uh, walk away from that, forget that, I don't want to see that, I'm ignoring that,
yeah,
then it creates a kind of suffering.
yeah, yeah,
And a suffering, and it doesn't realize the inherent beauty of this.
yeah, yeah,
I think
exactly.
that's important for us too. Like there is an inherent beauty,
Yeah,
and right now, as I say, that beauty is a part of knowing that principle.
yeah, yeah,
Like the beauty, that's my sense. The beauty is leading me towards a principle that is common
yeah,
for all of appearance,
yeah,
for all phenomena,
yeah,
being or whatever, life.
yeah, yeah. But the principle is also singular in regards to you and your path and your way. It's a particular expression of your
Yeah.
sort of singularity. Um, yeah, I get a sort of this is an idea that I really I think is beautiful that I would like to throw into the mix. It's um, it's the idea of the angel, actually.
Mm. Mm.
As Henri Corbin talks about angels, and they do in Sufism, and I guess the sort of when you talk about the principle, what I get a feeling is that you're talking about the what Corbin would call the angel.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
that there is, there is a way in which that principle can be personified, and that that we can relate to that principle in a sort of imaginal, personified way.
Very personal
Yeah,
as
very
well.
personal. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And I guess the idea there is that in Sufism that we can never know God in itself, him or her itself. That God is always hidden at Gonditus.
Mm.
But the way in which we see God and meet and interact with God is through the angels, through the sort of intermediary beings. Um, and the idea there is that we each have our own sort of angel,
Mm.
or to put it the other way around, that the angel has us. We
Mm.
are sort of an image of the angel in a way. We have a divine double or divine, divine
Mm.
twin.
Mm.
Um, and I guess this whole sort of imagery is quite sort of heavenly, and metaphors of light and ascension. I guess if we would have a more sort of earthly, material, alchemical metaphor, that would be the diamond.
Mm.
That that um, that is sort of calling us into participation, um, calling us into life, calling us into that blossoming, um, and sort of, I guess, participation with the principle would also be, a sort of recovery of that relationship.
Mm. Ah, this
Or
is nice. This throws me totally off balance in some sense.
okay,
But
great,
there is
great.
something in that
Yeah, yeah,
almost a kind of confusion that brings something that I didn't think to speak about at all into sight. It's
yeah,
appearing.
yeah,
So I think I'm just going there, and
yeah. Let's do
let's
it.
see if let's just trust that.
Yeah,
So I think what is happening with the conversation right now is that there is a sense, an internal sense of these two sides. It's a west and east side,
yeah,
something like that, and I can see how my the whole speaking about groundlessness and uh, I haven't spoken a lot about dependent origination, but this sense that we cannot separate the vessel from the material or awareness from appearances or experience or something like that, ground from what is blossoming out of it. That's a very, to me, that has come about from a Buddhist practice,
yeah,
and especially like working very deeply with emptiness. Um, and then on the other hand, I have this, and they have been running and are still running. I think they aren't just parallel anymore at all. I don't actually think they have ever been parallel, but I I struggled with them as two parallel things,
yeah,
even though they appeared in the same breath.
yeah,
They appeared here
yeah,
together. But I think there is something about that, kind of almost an ambiguity or something like that,
yeah,
between the sense of everything just appearing in their kind of groundless and selfless and uh, yeah, yeah, that's selfless and groundless nature, their open nature,
yeah,
where they are forever birthing and dying forth, something like that. More kind of maybe Buddhist, Eastern, and then this sense of no, there's a telos here.
yeah,
There is kind of there's a directionality, and
yeah,
we can participate in this because I think my sense is that there's something about emptiness, like when you go deep enough into it, like it's just so freaking clear that everything is a dependent arising, and it is nihilistic. It is magical. It is
yeah,
magical because it somehow it brings home in an experiential way that every movement is meaningful and is participating in a creative fashion because there is nothing that is anything in itself apart from that movement.
no, yeah,
So, for example, you saying something that throws me off balance, suddenly like this idea appears, and now I'm taking that has created its a whole meaningful way of creating this conversation. There's something really, really interesting there
yeah,
about the way in which every appearance is participating in the creation of existence or life itself as it, um, yeah,
yeah,
that word again appears,
yeah,
right? as it exists, as it lives. So that's the one thing. And then there's this sense in more Western, the angel, the diamond, the beautiful, the true, and the good,
Yeah.
all of that,
Yeah.
that has this sense of a telos, that there's this sense of redemption.
Yeah.
There are like, that is something else in
Yeah.
some sense.
Yeah.
And yet to me, it feels like they are intimately linked.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
one thing that I might say here and then stop is in Tibetan Buddhism and Dzogchen especially, they have this idea of phenomena being self-liberating.
Yeah.
Like when we remember the ground, the
Yeah.
groundlessness of Rigpa,
Yeah.
empty awareness, awake awareness, appearances free themselves. They it's like clouds in the sky or drawing in water, something, one of the images, right?
Yeah.
That it appears, it bursts forth in a moment,
Yeah.
and then as it is birthed forth, this movement
Yeah.
is already dead as it moves on.
Yeah.
It is freeing. And there is this spin here, and I think that's something about the birth of Buddhism and the fantasy of leaving samsara behind, stopping dukkha, not suffering anymore, nirvana, the promised land. We're all gonna go there. It's just we're bodhisattvas now, so we have to. It will take some time, something like that. But I played a lot with if we see what what if the first noble truth wasn't suffering? What if the first noble truth what if it wasn't fixed? Because the first noble truth of suffering, if we take dependent arising very seriously,
Yeah.
must be empty. So it is because of the conditioning of the Buddha, of
Yeah.
Siddhartha,
Yeah.
in that castle, you
Yeah.
know, living that life and then seeing suffering. Oh,
Yeah.
suffering, that's the first principle. That's
Yeah.
where the Dharma starts. I teach dukkha and the end of dukkha.
Yeah.
What if Plato had made the Four Noble Truths? Would he have put in, I don't know, just to play with it, the beautiful, the good, or the true? Let
Yeah.
for now, I like to imagine the first noble truth as the beautiful. There is beauty.
Yeah.
There is beauty. There is, and with beauty, I don't mean like something nice or neat to look at.
No. No.
I think that there's something about this
Yeah.
present moment
Yeah.
that touches me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things are being touched,
Yeah.
and that is a sense of beauty.
Yeah.
Even horror is a kind of beauty
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And seen from that lens, I get the sense that maybe that self liberation isn't is a self liberation from a constriction to being some fixed thing,
Yeah.
but it is also seen from the other side. That's a dukkha.
Yeah.
It frees itself from the dukkha of being a reified thing
Yeah.
every moment.
Yeah.
But seen from the other angle, it's a self blossoming
Yeah.
where it
Yes.
is growing into the t- touching life and being touched by life
Yeah.
in ever new ways.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And there's something about that movement
Yeah.
that feels like that is it's being called by, we would call it the angel.
Yeah.
It's being
Yeah.
called into blossoming,
Yeah.
which is also self-liberation,
Yes. Yeah.
maybe.
Exactly. um, it's nice. I'm saying exactly, and you're saying maybe. um, yeah, I guess all of this is fantasy, you know.
Yeah, yeah, for
So,
sure.
so we're sort of exploring different fantasies and different, different ideas, different ways to conceive this, and I guess when I sort of throw in the image of the angel, it's also, oh, this is an interesting fantasy, what is this doing to my being,
Mm.
how would a perspective on life and myself, feel like, and how would I participate in the world and in my relationships if this was the fantasy, um, and
Hmm.
you know, then whether I believe in angels or not is that's not the question, or whether I I hold that sort of cosmology and metaphysics,
Mm.
as true. That's really not sort of the issue here. Um, it's more a feeling of like, what does in what ways does that fantasy make my being blossom? You or how does that make my being? How does that touch me? To use your word,
Yeah.
can I be touched by that?
Yeah, and we have this interesting thing. We're both saying we're touched and we're moved by. So
Yeah,
there's something about when appearances touch each other in their dependent arising,
yeah,
they also move each other forth in
yeah,
the becoming.
yeah, yeah,
And so what I like, I really like that you're saying that with it's a fantasy, and I think, yeah, that is just very important because it holds that kind of illusory, dreamlike nature.
yeah,
That all of what we're speaking about is, I would say, it's empty,
yeah.
it's illusory, it's dreamlike, it's fantasy, but that doesn't mean it's not real.
No, no,
It's
no.
it's very creative. It's
Yeah,
actually creating perception.
yeah,
But what I would say is that it seems to me when you spoke there that there is even the fantasy of angel could be reified in such a way that we think the angel has wings and comes from the sky.
yes, yeah, yeah,
And that
exactly.
would be very sad for the angel to be, because then it isn't self-liberating anymore,
No, no.
and then it isn't self-blossoming. It's the interesting is thing is for me there is what might the angel be in its co-emergence with you in
Yeah,
your life.
yeah,
And this is where for me there's something about that sense of beauty of that which touches me
yeah.
that feels like that is where the calling
Yes,
and the draw to the
yes,
angel, the calling of the angel and the draw to the angel is kind of becoming perceptually present
yeah,
in experience.
yes,
It might be that we're not even aware of any, like, we don't have this idea of an angel or a diamond, but we have as this sense of I woke up with this. I don't care about my dreams, but I woke up with this dream this morning, and I just cannot shake it off.
yeah,
I'm so moved by it.
yeah,
What does it want from me?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Or it's so like I'm thinking about like moving into a new house or a home, and you see different houses, which one to rent or buy, and on the paper it's like it's this house, this is the perfect house, and you come out and it's like just flat.
Yeah,
You're not touched at all. And
yeah,
then you go to a house and you just schedule a meeting with this. Maybe I might as well just check it out. And you come there, and on the way in, on the road there,
yeah.
even kilometers before, there's just a sense of, did everything become a bit brighter? I
Yeah,
think the
exactly.
heart is opening.
Yes,
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
what the fuck is that? And then you
yeah,
come there and you just go, I have to live here. We have to live here.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, exactly.
I would like free the and maybe that is you have a belief, a fantasy about angels, and the angel comes down and you speak with it, and it says, "This is a good place. I think you should buy this house." But maybe you don't even have that idea. But I would still say that maybe there's something about that being touched. If we could trust that, if we could allow
Yeah,
being
yeah, yeah,
touched and being moved with the
yeah,
touch of
yeah,
life,
yeah, yeah,
that we maybe could say that we're being drawn by the angel or the
yeah,
angelic or that which knows the way to
yeah,
uh yeah, the complete blossoming of the inexhaustible nature of things.
yeah. Which is never complete.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, thank you for that, Alex. Yeah, I get this sense that, this image of driving toward the house, everything comes a bit brighter. That is almost like entering an enchanted sort of landscape or something. This
Yeah.
feeling like now the world is becoming a bit more transparent or something, now,
Mm.
wow, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling a depth, I'm feeling a meaning, I'm feeling something, wow, something is, yeah, moving me, touching me,
Yeah.
um and I guess, we can talk about the imaginal and mundus imaginalis, and, we could talk about the space for the imaginal, to bring it back to the imaginal space. And, we can have this idea that it's, um, that it's somewhere out there, or, that it's a dimension of, of the world, or, and we can look at it, in this ontological way, this. But as you describe it there, it's more sort of a mode of being or state of being, an opening or loosening or something.
Yeah.
And in that sort of, opening, something can, I get this feeling of, it's also a bit angelic again, but something can be revealed,
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
something can, shine forth,
Mm.
to use Heidegger's, something can be disclosed.
Mm.
Yeah. Like the
Yes.
veil is a bit, it's a bit thinner
Yeah.
somehow. Yeah.
And as you say that, I get the sense that the veiling is the reification
Yeah.
as well, and because what I when you say open, you said open there, and then I get the sense of, again, we could have the sense of the vessel or the space as being some kind of ontological primary openness, and then I do this with my arms, like
Yeah.
there's this open space where things are appearing and they are kind of a little, and even with kind of ideas of like idealism where awareness is a kind of a primary kind of substance almost, where everything is appearing within and as something like that,
Yeah. The
which I
mind.
get,
Yeah.
like it's very easy to sense it like that. But what I think could be lost there is the openness of appearances themselves.
Mm.
That there is this, and I think this is what's so interesting about emptiness from an experiential side, and what Rob Babea really like, what he did with soul making when you sent it to me. When you sent Rob to me, I was sitting some years ago, I was sitting in this split. I was writing my master's and was like, either I'm writing about emptiness and the forgetfulness of being with Heidegger, speaking with them, or I'll do kind of a case study of the Red Book and look of the imaginal phenomenology. But I was struggling because I felt like these aren't really separate from me. It feels like I can't, like, it feels like they're separate things in some sense, because
Yeah.
like they aren't speaking about this, and like
Yeah.
what what and then you sent Rob's work, and I was like instantly like, oh, here's one who really has kind of found that thread as well as I was pulling at that thread,
Yeah.
and he had followed it. And what I find in his approach to emptiness and dependent arising is that, yes, it is the liberation of things into a kind of an openness where they can kind of relax their clinging and be freed of dukkha.
Yeah.
But that openness is also an openness within the heart of everything.
Yeah.
At the center of every phenomena, there is an openness, which means when we drive, okay, yeah, let's do that example again. We drive to a house, and that house is just brick and mortar, and it's just a construction made by someone. And do I need to buy it? But that is the reification. If there is something that just in a regular sense is just opening us, that opening us to seeing the house in new ways is also an opening within the appearance of the house itself, where light shines,
Yeah.
or where the future is present right now. I can see myself playing with my unborn child
Yeah.
within that house.
Yeah.
Like that is present there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe it's not to reify that either, to say that's gonna happen, but it's like there's something within this soul, within this heart, and within the soul or heart of that appearance of that house, which meet each other and kind of almost construct the becoming of something beautiful,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to allow that.
Yeah.
And that is the revelation, not as something in another dimension ontologically.
No.
It's like the other dimension is, and the depth is right here.
Yeah.
It is when we can see kind of the empty nature, that things aren't what they are, what we think they are in themselves.
Yeah.
They are what they are, dependent on, yeah, as Rob would say, how we look at them, or so many other conditions. Like I'm
Mm.
out looking for a house, and we hear this song, and the sun is shining in a particular way, and whoa, there's an eagle right there, and suddenly everything, like the stars are just
Yeah.
constellating,
Yeah. Yeah.
and suddenly it's a mythological moment,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
mythology is right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And and you're also just there in the car with
Yeah,
with your
yeah,
girlfriend and your child, and
yeah, yeah,
completely mundane at the same time.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's interesting, because I spoke about the split, and a lot of is especially like early Buddhist Theravada, uh, where speaking about uh, the world and samsara
Yeah.
is kind of the disenchantment,
Yeah.
right? We have to
Yeah.
be become disenchanted with the world, so that we leave samsara behind,
Yeah.
stop grasping, and yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
end the cycle of rebirth. But here there's that sense of a kind of enchantment,
Yes.
uh, that is that doesn't feel like it is. I was about to say it isn't creating dukkha, but it surely is.
Yeah.
But it's like that relationship. What if we could relate to dukkha, to suffering, in the same way as we relate to that house, like something
Yeah.
that isn't fixed,
Yeah.
ugh,
Yeah.
but something
Exactly.
that could open. So maybe suffering has a beauty to it.
Exactly. That was
Yeah,
exactly what I was sitting with. Like, can we look at suffering also as containing beauty
yeah,
or inherently beautiful? Uh,
yeah.
um,
Or having the open potential for being engaged with in a way where
yeah.
that could be true. Because
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that suffering is just beautiful or something
No.
like
No.
that.
No. No. No.
Because,
No. No.
it, but maybe there is that, if suffering too is
Yeah.
empty,
Yeah.
then there is that openness at the heart of
Yes.
suffering
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
that could be. Yeah, I
Okay.
had this
That's
conversation with a friend, a Dharma friend, and we spoke about dukkha, and I kind of said to him that, to me, what was so beautiful about the teachings of emptiness, and the way, not only the way Rob kind of has presented them, but the way when I've practiced emptiness, I think maybe it wasn't the first time. No, it wasn't the first. So you did these cacao ceremonies, and
yeah.
I think you're beginning again,
Yeah.
where cacao and active imagination meet. And I went to one of those, and I had this very, very big kind of ancestral and collective experience, very archetypal, very, very healing, about my German kind of ancestry, and what what happened back then in the Second World War, and so there was this thread of deep suffering, and I was laying there and I was crying and cramping up, and it was very intense and very beautiful. And at the same time, what allowed that kind of depth,
Yeah.
and not to that I didn't get too scared or wanted to
Yeah.
kind of go out of it, was actually the recognition, again and again and again, of the innate openness
Yeah.
of all of that, or
Yeah.
one could say the innate freedom of that.
Yeah.
That there was something there that just allowed it to appear, to blossom forth,
Yeah.
so to say.
Yes. Yes.
And that blossoming forth, what was not just the self-liberation into some, I don't know, nirvanic state. It was the blossoming forth of the suffering into its kind of culmination in that ceremony
yeah,
where the suffering and the beautiful was just you couldn't separate it. I wouldn't nothing in that experience at that moment would want to shut down or kind of expel or bring cessation to that
mm,
suffering
yeah,
because that suffering was innately beautiful.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Okay, we had a little break. That's the sort of the imperfect nature of this work that that suddenly the world breaks into this little container. There was a chimney sweeper that needed to to do his
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So now Alex's fire can burn. Yes,
Safely again.
safely. Yeah.
I can allow it and trust it in its
Yes.
unfolding.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so I think what I was where I don't know exactly where I was, but there was this sense within that cacao ceremony with a lot of suffering and this imaginal kind of vision almost, a journey that it wasn't because and this is maybe to the point of something we're going to speak of at some point, like what is imaginal practice and active imagination
Yeah.
and kind of the sense of agency and all of that. So it wasn't just that I was passively or that I was creating it. It was this sense of
Yeah.
all the time kind of remembering the empty nature of subject and object, and that kind of allowed an openness in the relationship where kind of
Yes.
meaningfulness and beauty could blossom forth,
Yeah.
but in the shape of suffering,
Yeah.
in the shape of a wound, actually.
Yeah.
Like to bring
Yes.
it to that I think the last image was that my kind of ancestral line were kind of being nourished by a wound in my
Yes.
chest, blood flowing
Yes.
out to like
Yes.
uh yeah, both Germans and Jews, and seeing how they were like the German people were also suffering there.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was very healing. But the idea there was that it was that movement of seeing emptiness, seeing the
Yes.
groundless nature that allowed that unfolding,
Yeah. Yeah.
that blossoming forth.
Yeah.
Um, so in this regards, emptiness or seeing the nature of things or recognizing the groundlessness, again, that I think I had a fantasy for a long time that that would be an endpoint.
Yeah.
That when I truly had seen the emptiness of all things, then something would stop. Um, and there is the sense that it is the end of suffering. It is the end of the reified suffering, but
Yeah.
it is also it is the freedom from suffering, from reified suffering,
Yeah.
and it is the freedom to suffer beautifully or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
It is also that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Thank you, Alex.
yeah.
I get this sense that then when the alchemists speak about the solutio operation, this is sort of a dissolving everything. There's this saying, till all become water. Don't proceed with the work until everything has become liquid.
Mm,
So there's this sense of like, okay, through that insight into emptiness and that recognition, that opening, something can begin to flow. Something, the emotions, the images
mm,
can be released to
mm,
flow. Something becomes, more permeable, more liquid, and then suddenly something begins to flow. And in that flowing, there's also a lot of emotion.
mm.
And it's not that we
Eros.
that was it's not that we want to get rid of that emotion. We want to release it actually.
Mm,
And same thing with the wound, I guess. That you're describing, which I think is beautiful. Why would we want to get rid of that wound? Or why would we want to close or heal even that wound?
mm,
But can we open to it, and can we allow it to flow?
mm, mm,
I think there's something there that I recognize um, in my longing, in my uh, I guess you could call intention actually also with these conversations and with this vessel, we're in imaginatively we're in a vessel called the Pelican,
Mm.
and the Pelican was an old alchemical vessel which was used for an operation called a circulating, where you sort of circulate the material. But the Pelican was also in folklore. It was a sort of an image, a symbol for the sort of sacrificial act of actually opening that wound and feeding. The pelican in folklore, it would feed its young ones, its children, with blood from its own heart.
Mm.
So there's this sense, at least, that mm, can we allow the wound to be there? Can we allow it to flow? Yeah, and can this be done in a way so that it can nourish other people also? And that might sound a bit grandiose, or when I say it, like, who do you think you are, that you are suffering your wounds, your longings will also be nourishment for other people? And do you have a sort of a fantasy of because it's also an image of Christ, that sacrificial gesture,
Mm.
um, so I get this voice, be careful of the inflation and the grandiosity. But
The Jungian
yeah, the
Jungian
kind of
voice.
Jungian, it's pointing to me, don't get inflated.
Yeah. Rather be deflated
Yeah, rather be
than
deflated,
inflated.
but yeah, exactly. But but the deflated is also a trap,
Mm.
and
That's it.
um, yeah. So there is this experiment, this exploration of can I let something flow from my wound, from my heart, from can I try to open and let something flow that will be nourishing for other people. And when I say that, I also have another voice in my head saying don't do it for other people. It's not this sort of intention that
Mm.
this should be beneficial, or this should be useful, or this should be a program to follow, or something that has that sort of
Mm.
intention that goes beyond just this exploration.
Mm.
But at the
And yet,
same time, I'm
yeah,
sitting with this. Okay, there is something in opening the vessel also.
yeah. Ah,
Um,
yeah. So you're with the paradox of the vessel as
yeah.
something
I guess this is where
hermetically
I
sealed
yes, yeah, this is where I
but
land.
open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
So
also as a paradox, perhaps, of sort of like, don't repress. Don't be deflated. Don't repress yourself, but don't act out either. So don't repress, don't act out. How do you be with that sort of?
the middle way, the thin line.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, when you speak about all of this, yeah, so what you're working in this fantasy of the pelican, and we could say we are in the pelican. I find myself when think of being in the pelican, I find myself being in your fantasy, which is nice.
yeah,
But there is like so what I so when you say that about the wound and the heart and kind of that kind of I sense a struggling there between kind of being nourished by our own wounds and kind of
yeah.
that kind of inner circulatio
Cooking,
process,
cooking in our own blood.
cooking in our own blood and nourishing up by our own soul and experience, and then this movement
Yeah,
of the double pelican, the double circulation.
yeah,
I'm taking to kind of the phenomenological experience of maybe of this conversation of right now, and this sense of Heidegger has this word, the Wes das Wesentliche.
Yeah.
In Danish, it's det væsentlige, and in English, I think the translation is the essential. And
Yeah.
it's not,
No, it's not
it's
that.
not what I want to say, but I'm just saying the essential. But the
Yeah.
wesentliche, that which is kind of is important, that which is relevant to the being,
Yeah.
to the heart, for that further unfoldment. To me, there is this sense of, as we speak, and I think this is maybe a part of the practice that is kind of revealing itself. I am constantly kind of reminding myself of the whole field of appearances,
Yeah.
like this body, the mind, and the sense of how things kind of appear and step forth and veiled. Oh, there's something veiled there, and lingering in that sense of veiling, and whoop, something turns up.
Yeah.
And there, in that, there is this constant openness, this constant wounding, not only in my heart, but in every kind of the heart of every phenomena.
Yes.
It is not fixed.
Yeah.
It is kind of it is constantly dying to itself, and it is being born by this.
Yeah.
It's feeding on its own blood, but also by its being nourished by the blood of others. Kind of this in this co-arising.
Yes.
So before you kind of took me by surprise with something the turn you took, and there was this lingering in that kind of feeling out of balance.
Yeah.
But in that sense of being out of balance, the confusion of it
Yeah.
kind of fed into my system, and there was beauty there because I felt touched.
Yeah.
So I was staying with that sense of touchness. This isn't very kind of intentional. It is more kind of the field noticing this.
Yeah.
And then out of that, it bleeds out of that sense of unease and in the body. It bleeds out into, whoa, now there's this idea that appears,
Yeah.
these thoughts, and now I can go this way.
Yeah.
Now I can speak about these things which
Yeah.
are opened up. They're giving themselves to each other.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say that.
Yeah.
And then this paradox of bleeding inside oneself, like I get the sense of, so that thought, in some sense, phenomenologically, is resting within its own appearance.
Yeah.
Like where the thought ends,
Yeah.
that on the other side is not the thought.
No.
Very easy way of seeing it is I look at your face, and the place where the face ends, there's a wall behind you. And then that is not your face anymore. So that's the sense of kind of an inner kind of coherence. Like you,
Yeah.
the phenomena is gathering itself within itself. It is circulating around itself.
Yeah.
And yet it is a dependent co-arising that at the same time is always kind of interbeing.
Yes.
So there is this reciprocal kind of
Yes. Yeah.
dynamism,
Yeah.
aliveness,
Yeah.
participation.
Yeah.
That is kind of, yeah, now I get fond of the fantasy of the pelican, right? Because there is this sense of
Circulating.
something being contained within itself, but yet feeding everything else, but never it is spilling out, but it never loses its integrity.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something around like it's and feeling into this practice
Yeah.
of not being too self-contained,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Being
Yeah.
that neurotic on the dance floor and not kind of losing ourselves out there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
having
Yeah.
that sense of
Yeah.
Keiji Nishitani, the Japanese philosopher who I used a lot in my masters. He talks about looking at the flame
Yeah.
as a very good image of emptiness, and I think it's very good for this. The flame is not like we would say sometimes that what fire or flame is burning, but that which is burning is exactly not the flame. It is everything. It is like the oxygen. It is the, how
Yeah.
do you say that? The small thread in the
Yes.
candlelight. It's all of the other factors which are burning, and the flame itself is actually not burning. It is giving itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
to the rest. And
Yes.
that's why it's appearing.
Yeah,
But you
yeah,
can
yeah,
only
yeah.
see the flame there, and if you look up a little bit higher up, there's just, you know, just space.
Yes.
But it needs that space to burn. Like
Yes.
that sense of deep interconnectivity, but not like melding out into a weird sense of homogeneous oneness. It's like
Mm.
it's not that.
No, no.
So now I'm rambling on, but I guess there's
Yeah, that's
something around this that feels very alive to the practice of having this kind of conversation, like
yeah,
following that, where
yeah,
things are held in their integrity and kind of
yeah,
um, being,
yeah.
but also are participating with what is appearing that seems wesentlich,
Yes,
that
yes,
seems relevant for the further kind of unfolding of their beingness,
yes, yes.
something like that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
um, yeah, yeah. I recognize when when you say that that in talking about the wound, um, if we compare the wound with the flame, for example, that I can make the mistake of that it's my wound, my personal wound, um, and to a certain extent it is,
Hmm.
then it's not to sort of
Hmm.
it's not to deny that or sort of ignore that or denigrate that, um, but when you say that about the flame and the sort of the wound of things in themselves, or almost like the wound of the world or the soul of the world, the anima mundi, sort of also bleeding
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
being wounded, and um, I get the sense that that perhaps the wound or the heart also opens to this feeling that the wound was there before I was there,
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
that I was born into this specific wounding or
Yeah. Yeah.
something like that. And when I hear your experience about the cacao ceremony with your ancestry, and
Yeah. Yeah.
there's this things of the wound opens into that sort of like, it's not impersonal because it's profoundly personal, but there is a sort of um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how to put it.
There's something impersonal, but still very personal. Like it's
Yeah,
very, yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. Exactly, exactly.
I just want, because we have to end, and
Yeah,
but I think that the sense of our own wound, for many of us, I think that's why it's very wise of the Buddha to put dukkha as the first, like
yeah,
the suffering that is very visceral right here is also the opening to kind of fundamental truth
yeah,
of things.
yeah,
Like the personal becomes a road into the impersonal.
yeah,
But then there is again there could be this subtle duality between the personal and the impersonal.
yeah,
But
yeah,
what you express there, if we say that emptiness or the nature of things is openness, and that this openness is not the openness as a container wherein things unfold, but it is rather the openness which is in this at the center
yeah,
of all appearances,
yeah,
then there is an impersonal wound,
yeah,
emptiness,
yeah,
so to speak,
yeah.
that expresses itself in the particular
Yes,
appearance
yes,
of you and your relationship to that
yes,
wound. And I
yes,
think all of our suffering and trauma, in some sense,
yeah,
could be traced back to a relationship, a primal relationship
yeah,
to the Abgrund or the
yeah,
abyss or the
yeah,
sense of groundlessness.
yes,
And then we build stories around that.
yeah,
And that's fine. But there is also that just the primal experience of just this life, these sufferings appear, these stories, and they just appear.
yeah,
And can we sit with
yeah,
that?
yeah,
Can we live that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. And can we nurture ourselves and each other with that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And to me, it feels important to say appearances themselves, like in the each other for me, are
yeah,
phenomena.
yeah,
because it's so clearly like the way I take care of me and you in this conversation is also caring for the thought,
yeah,
caring for the sensation, caring for everything that appears,
yeah,
like that it's like the care towards phenomena is also what lets them blossom forth.
yeah,
And there is nothing else to give each other than kind of the sharing of the this
yeah,
apparent life.
yeah,
So
yeah,
letting it like not constricting. I think there's something for me as a therapist, I can get locked into the idea that when I sit with a client that I have to be caring for them.
yeah,
But that is not to care for them because if I see them as a dependent arising, I know that the whole field is a
yeah,
part, kind
yeah,
of all the things that are needed for them to be as they are. And if I
yeah,
can nurture the thoughts, the sensations, whatever
yeah,
is there,
yeah,
that's the best way to me to nurture them. So
yeah,
it's a phenomenological caring for
yeah,
being
yes,
or something like
yes,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
And for the
get the
woundedness
image
of being.
of yeah, yeah, definitely. This is sort of the image of a gardener, that I like also as a sort of as a therapist, or
Yeah,
as a human being, just in
yeah,
general, Um, of yeah. I also like gardening in general,
yeah, yeah.
but
Me too.
but there is a bit of sense like okay, we care a little bit for that plant, that flower, and
Yeah.
um, and then
And that is
perhaps
also caring for ourselves.
yes, yeah, exactly, exactly,
In caring for the
yeah,
plant cares for us and
yeah.
learns us how to take care of it.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I need more water. Oh,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
needs more
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Mm. Nice, Nikolaj.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex. Yeah. Mm.
So I'm just, yeah, I think there's something here for me to kind of, I get the sense that there's something here in this conversation that is not that it is revealed, but it's revealing something about the the practice which we want to engage in,
Yeah.
and a kind of almost a phenomenological kind of sense of how it seems to me that we're speaking, like how, and I've been longing for this kind of practice, vessel for a long time,
Yeah.
where it could seem that it is just open and we're just speaking and there's no structure to it, but there is the sense of something,
Yeah.
das Wesentliche, the
Yes.
beautiful is, there is something that feels structured as well,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's another kind of structuring. We could speak of the logos or
Yeah.
kind of something like that. And
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for that. It's
Yeah.
really meaningful here.
Thank you, Alex, as well. I have the feeling that I've been longing for this also, but I didn't know I was longing for it. so
Nice.
so yeah. So thank you. Um,
Thank you for stepping into that. I think I've invited you sometimes on my podcast,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think this was what oh,
This
and I've
was
been
what
trying
you
it
sort
with
of was.
different people, like
Yeah. Yeah.
because it feels, yeah, there's something in me that thinks, okay, this could just be craziness,
Yeah.
and in a
Yeah.
certain sense,
This
it
is
is.
this,
It
yes.
is.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
there's
think
meaning there.
I've perhaps the last remark. I think I needed a container in which, to come back to the vessel and the
Yeah,
container. I think I needed a container. And I think I needed the idea of a sort of a practice group or a
yeah,
program or something, that
yeah,
these conversations were leading towards.
yeah,
And
yeah.
now it
That
feels
makes
like,
sense.
yes, it's fine. There's a practice group and I look forward to it and it will be interesting.
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily, what these conversations are about.
So they kind of
Um,
allowed you to step into it, and now they are
yes.
not essential.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Looking forward to continue this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me too, Alex. Yeah. Okay. Take care.
Okay. Take
Ciao.
care.